All right, first of all, I want to apologize that you had to listen to that atrocious audio. I don't know what happened. I don't know who put it in. I don't understand why it sounded that way, but I do apologize to you guys. That's not to our level of quality. That's ridiculous. All right, let's jump in. There's no niceties. There's nothing else to do. Let's talk about the news of the day. Now, I do know what's going to happen today is, a fan base that is full of rats is going to flock to the cheese that I offer. Let's get something straight. 90% of you who called today haven't watched this team all year. You're going to call in today and attempt to have conversations with me about basketball that you're not capable of having. But I'll still entertain you because that's what I'm here to do. But tread lightly on acting like you actually like Michigan basketball because they don't have a fan base, which is shameful because John Beilein is coaching his ass off. And I think a great place to start is simple. You need to forget about rankings. You need to forget about seedings. You need to forget about all of those things and let your eyes do the talking. And that goes for both fan bases. I think in a week, we're probably going to be a little bit surprised at how these teams are seeded, and I'll disagree with it. I think Michigan deserves to be a higher seed than MSU. I think Michigan deserves to play at LCA. I think it's a joke if State plays there. Where this thing is with the AP poll and stuff like that, no, I don't think State should be ranked ahead of Michigan because here's why. State has basically beaten a bunch of bad teams plus Purdue at home. That's what they've done the last couple months. And when Michigan came to Breslin and dominated them, you looked at it and went, okay, well, that's one game. That's just a bad game. Impressive for U of M, that's a bad game. The reason I wanted to see Michigan again in the Big Ten tourney, it was a litmus test. And that's why you didn't want to see Nebraska. That doesn't do anything for us. Playing Michigan exposed MSU. And as a fan, I think it's a good thing because now at least you can check your ego and your expectation and your arrogance, myself included, at the door. Michigan State's just not that good. That's really what it boils down to. Because the second matchup against U of M looked exactly like the first. And once again, John Beilein outcoached Tom Izzo. John Beilein's players outplayed Tom Izzo's players. That's a program fail. And right now, if you're asking me who's got a better shot to go to the Final Four, I would say Michigan. They play better defense. They don't have breakdowns. They play together. They play hard. And behind one of the best offensive minds in college basketball, they're able to crank out enough offense with their ball handlers, with their dribble drive, with their perimeter shooting to win games. And those are all the things that MSU doesn't do. And I know what some of you are going to say. You're going to get upset at me. You'll turn and go, oh, my God, I can't believe he's saying. Guys, I don't hate Tom Izzo. I don't hate Michigan State. I don't hate my team. But I think we have to come to grips with what they are and what our rivals are. Michigan's a better basketball team than we are. They showed it in January, and for doubters like me, I think, again, you go against the team a second time, you can't look the same way. You can't allow that. And it's exactly what MSU did. And I don't believe it's some kind of effort thing for MSU. I don't believe the players want to get their asses kicked by Michigan. They simply can't beat this team. They don't match up with this team. And Michigan is able to do certain things to them that they can't stop. Michigan State cannot stop their ball handlers, their penetration. And frankly, and this is what's most concerning to me, this Michigan State team still hasn't bought in defensively. The miscommunications, the lazy closeouts, you're not going to beat good teams that way. And I think if you look at it, Michigan played a tougher schedule. Michigan's playing better basketball right now. Yeah, I believe if you have to have a Final Four candidate out of this state, I would take U of M. And am I angry at Tom and the program? Yeah, of course I am. Because this is Tom's best chance to get it done, and it sure looks like they're not going to get it done. I think right now MSU kind of looks like a second weekend team. Maybe they win that first game of the second weekend, but I have a real hard time believing they're going to win 4 games in this tournament. I still believe they'll get to the Sweet 16. Maybe you can win the front end of that. But eventually you got to beat somebody good. And MSU hasn't shown a propensity to do it. Michigan has. And credit to those kids, man. You know, we came on the air on Friday and we had talked about Michigan fan overreacting, all 11 of you. overreacting to the game against Iowa and you didn't look good and the free throw. Guys, this is why you don't overreact to that stuff. Just survive. They go on to play 4 games in 4 days, and they played dominating basketball in 3 of them. They dominated Nebraska. That game was over before it started. They dominated Michigan State. The halftime score was misleading because the second half, look, they came out and they came to play. And in my book, that was a blowout. They beat State down again. And then what you did to Purdue yesterday was incredibly powerful. You don't make Purdue look that way. But this is what Michigan's defense is doing. They are making teams uncomfortable. They're denying the ball. They're able to stay in front of guys, and they make every possession work. That's really, I know it's not sexy, but it matters. And this is something a Beeline team really hasn't done before. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn and saying this is John Beeline's best defensive team. And they've got guys that fill roles. They've got guys that are able to step up to the big moment. Wagner, again, was able to wag his tongue all in MSU's face, and they didn't do anything about it. First half, he played poorly. Second half, he lit it up. And you know why he started to roll? Because MSU had a defensive breakdown and a lazy closeout that allowed him his first 2 buckets. For Michigan, I think it's all roses. I think you sit back, you relax, you get the week off, you see where the seeding's going to be. And overall, look, I think Michigan has earned a 3 seed. I would have no issue with it. I think a 4 would be the lowest you should tolerate as a fan. A 5, you'd be angry. I think they're a 3. And I don't think they're a team anybody wants to see. Incredibly impressive what they did this weekend. Incredibly powerful. As far as Michigan State, listen, forget about any discussion of, 1 seeds and all that crap. That's dead. I think it would be a joke if MSU was a 2. We wanted to fight the resume. Playing Michigan and playing Purdue in the Big Ten tournament was supposed to represent those resume builders we needed. We didn't earn the right to build the resume. We allowed Michigan to dominate us again. I think if State is a 3, you should feel lucky. I'll be honest. If you really look at MSU, what have they done this year? If they played Ohio State twice in Big Ten play, they probably lose twice. If they play Michigan twice, they lose twice. If they play Purdue twice, they lose the game at Mackey Arena. They didn't play any of those teams twice. And they're fortunate to have done so. So when we look at the resume, when they play good teams, they don't look like much. Now, you want to go back to when they played Notre Dame and Bonzie Colson was healthy, you have a right to do that. We all watched that game. But bottom line, that's 3 months ago or 2.5 months ago. What they've done since the calendar hit 2018, it's not impressive, okay? They've gone out. They got bombed by Michigan, bombed by OSU. They beat Purdue at their place on what now really does look like a miraculous 3-pointer from 28 feet away. And then they go to the Big Ten tournament, and they got aced out again by U of M. They're 1-3 against teams that are halfway decent. In the mix, they escaped a couple of games. But you forgive them because you go, it's a regular season, you go on the road, you go prime time. Okay, you make excuses. I did it. I'm guilty. They were down 27 to Northwestern, had the greatest comeback in Big Ten history. In order to make that comeback, you have to be getting your ass kicked. And they did. I think this team is incredibly soft. I think this team is incredibly tight. And you've got some guys who just don't buy in. I mean, I am tired of seeing this ongoing war between Nick Ward and Tom Izzo. And Tom is stubborn and proud, and Nick is stubborn and proud, and it ends up with Nick sitting on the bench and Nick not listening to the finer points of basketball and learning to move his feet and doing what needs to be done. For as talented as Jaren Jackson is, let's call it what it is, man. He can't stay in games because his defense sucks. And with Miles Bridges, I think it's incredibly prophetic what I said Friday, because I told you, don't suddenly think that, Miles will catch fire in March. No, Miles is just what he is. He cost himself a lot of money by coming back. I feel bad for the kid on that level. He'll still get drafted. Would I take him in the lottery? Probably not. He's not a small forward. He struggles ball handling. And overall, he'll get you about 15 or 16 on about 15 or 16 shots. That's pretty much what he is. That's not special. Now, look, do I blame Tom Izzo for a lot of this? I do. He is the man who makes several $1 million a year. Part of this is, look, these players some of these guys just don't get it. I think Nick Ward and Josh Langford think they're a lot better than they really are. I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is immature. And you're willing to live with the immaturity because you see the flashes of unbelievable potential. But, like, he missed a three late in that game and loafed back down the floor and put himself in a position where he was not involved in the play. That's unacceptable. I think that's what bums me out most. Michigan has become Michigan State with the way they play. Michigan's a tougher team. Michigan plays harder. And I'm not saying State loafs it all the time. They don't. But part of playing hard is mental focus. Michigan doesn't make mistakes. I mean, watching the game yesterday, they didn't turn the ball over until like 7 minutes into the second half. That's being tough, mentally and physically. I think that's what bums me out the most, is that Michigan State doesn't play Spartan basketball. They allow teams to get over on them. They look very small. I think they bicker. And overall, they just haven't bought in. And look, yeah, the win total's beautiful, right? They beat a ton of teams. They won the regular season. It don't look so good when you go to the Big Ten tournament, you play a real team again, and not only do you lose, I got no problem with losing. They got punked. So it is what it is. So I think if you're a Wolverine and you actually watch basketball, you got every right to feel great about yourself, talk a little bleep, and have a good time. I know there's only 11 of you out there that actually watch Michigan before this weekend, so I'll be amazed to see what happens there. If you're a Spartan, I think it's time to humble up. All of us, myself included. This is Tom Izzo's best recruiting class and his best chance to win a national title, and it sure sounds like Tom dropped the eggs before they got to the frying pan, because this team doesn't look capable of beating anybody good. They don't play crisp. They don't play tight. They don't play physical. They don't play smart. And they don't play a cohesive, gelled basketball game. And it's a little late in the year to start. I know what some of you are going to say. You're going to hearken back to 2005. You're going to hearken back to 2010. That's your prerogative. It's your right to do so. I'm not going to do that. I think if you expect that, you're invariably going to be disappointed. This team's had a long time to come together, and they had a soft schedule to do it. And what Michigan showed you is they're no different than they were in January, that you still can't beat Michigan, that you're not the best team in the Big Ten, and that when the chips are down, this is generally what you look like. Doesn't bring me any pleasure to say it. No, I don't hate Tom Izzo. I just have a lot more respect for what Michigan's doing. And they did it 4 games, 4 days, 3 of them in incredibly impressive fashion. That's the best team in the Big Ten, period. The Big Ten regular season title, it's nice. You hang the banner, that's fine. Doesn't look nearly as good when you got egg all over your face. 248-539-9797. Let's get in the mix. Let's talk a little basketball. We'll get Sully and Hatchet involved. Get your phone calls involved as well. Everyone hates to see crabgrass in the summer. The